Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
My current thing is shifted energy. We are trying to solve for the clean energy challenge that is very unjust. So if you're a homeowner and you want to reduce your energy bill, you can put solar, put batteries, get an EV, change your appliances. Like the list is endless and you'll get paid for each and every one of those. But if you're a renter, there's very few options. And this is a worldwide problem. So the clean energy revolution we're going through, it's like when you buy poke and you go to the store and the restaurant and then everything has prices except for the poke bowl. It's like market price. It's kind of scary. Yeah. What does that mean? Is it $50? And so half the people are on that market price unknown for the rest of their lives to pay for energy because they can't invest their way out of it. So my company's trying to solve for that by engaging these communities at scale. So we have 3,500 installations. I'd figured out some methods to use water heaters as the means to do that, to get folks into these programs, and then spanning off from that to other different types of asset classes. Got a bunch of patents around that. We are providing advanced services to Hawaiian Electric right now and Maui Electric for using 3,500 installations, and we're expanding like crazy outside of Hawaii.
So what's the genesis of this? Like, when did the idea come to you? How did it kind of sprout itself? What's the story behind this?
Yeah, so I sat on the board. It was called the Clean Energy Steering Committee, and this was during the Lingo administration where Hawaii was the first state to mandate into law that clean energy must be 100% from renewable sources by a certain date. So no other state had done that, like put the stick in the mud saying by this year, we're 100% renewable energy. And we did that as the most, not the word pilau, but we used more fossil fuels than any other state, like per capita. So we were going to go from the worst to the best. That was our thought. So sitting from that vantage point, I could see clearly that we were going to do it using the path of least resistance, using electrons as an analogy. That's what they take. And so these are the homes that can go solar, put batteries, and you see it now. Look, our policies mirror that. If you are a homeowner, go look at what you can tap into. There's no limits to what you can tap into. I haven't driven a gas car in 20 years. I tapped into those benefits. My home has been zero energy for over 15 years. I've tapped into those benefits. So I know. So that was the genesis. Like, holy moly, we can't do that. We can't do that. So when I got off the board, I ended up starting Shifted as a way to address that. And I didn't know how to do it. So it took about 3 years to figure it out. Talking to hundreds of people through surveys and directly installing equipment in well over 2,000 homes, like different types of equipment, looking at the data. I bought personally 30 different systems, some from Europe that I wired into my homes to see like, can I use this to participate? And then finally figured out, yeah, it's the water heater that is going to be the tool that we're going to use.
So you're trying to figure it out for yourself first, or you were trying to look and see where the biggest opportunity in the market was?
Yeah, it's about scale. So it's like, how do people use energy? And then what's possible? So of course, you want to look at the big users of energy, and water heating was one of the biggest ones. So that was high out on the list. But it wasn't just water heating, it was other parts of energy. But there's only so much you can do. Like one of the insights I had from that work was, I may have been the first, I'm not sure, but we had figured out that DVRs, the digital video recorders, were using about 100 watts per hour, 24 hours a day. And to put that in perspective, a fridge uses about 50. And so these DVRs that look like VCRs, but they want to record like 3 streams of data at once. So they got like this high-end video cards, maybe 2 of them. They've got 2 disk drives and the old style. And there's no incentive for these companies to make them energy efficient because they're not paying for the electricity, but they got to get these out for free, right, as part of the deal. So they're the cheapest parts. And so when we metered them, that blew us away. 100 watts is the highest usage of energy for a lot of these families. And so some families had 3 of them, and they had no clue that it was related to that. So we helped by sending out 2,000 these mechanical timers from Longs. Like you set the time that you wanted to turn on. We pre-configured it and just mailed it out to people that requested. Every zip code in the state had people requesting. You plugged your DVR to that, and then it would go off from midnight to 6 a.m. And then in time for you to catch like the morning news and stuff like that. Just like even just getting that much time off had some pretty significant savings. So it wasn't just the water heater, but we figured out some other things.
Like how much in dollars would you save from something like that?
So 100 watts, if you're able to get 12 of that, or just say 10 hours a day, so that's 1 kWh, that's 50 cents. And so 50 cents a day you can save. So you can easily save $150 a year by just cutting out the 12 hours you're not using it anyway. or something like that. And that's just for one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty significant. And if you can do it where you learn that this thing is bad and you get rid of it, and you go through something like these plug-in things like Roku and stuff like that, you can still get cable from services like that. They use like 5 or 6 watts when it's on only. Pretty significant savings. You're talking about $300 plus per year. So in some families, we computed that the electricity to pay for the DVRs exceeded the amount they paid to the cable company for the service. Yeah. And we had not seen anyone compute that before. But that's part of the way that I think. I'll look at things and I don't just assume. I'll just look at the data. And so after I computed that, that's when I was like, wow, that's not good.
So to the layperson then, what does shifted energy provide? What do you do?
Yeah, so if you think about a home uses on average 1 kilowatt all the time. So people don't think in kilowatts, but just think of kilowatts as like 1 unit of time, but it's not used at the same time. And so like when you come home from work, you turn things on, you heat water, you cook, you clean, you turn on the dishwasher. So you use a lot more kilowatts at that time. And so your usage has this really wicked pattern. Like in the morning, you use a bunch, and in the afternoon, you use a whole bunch. But the average is about one unit of power. And there's more than enough solar and wind to provide every family with that 1 unit. But there's a difference between when it's produced and when it's consumed. And that's where the problem lies, is that we have enough renewable resources, but we're not creatures that will use the power when it's available. Like, for example, solar power is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Imagine doing everything from that period. Like your laundry, your cooking, your cleaning, your dishwashing, like that's not going to happen. But if we did, we would have enough. So shifted energy is really about trying to shift the demand to meet the supply. And so that was the big aha for me, is that a lot of clean energy is solving it on the supply side. That is, how do you store the extra energy when it's created so that you can then distribute it when it's needed? So that essentially is the battery solution. And it's very expensive to do that. If you took every battery ever made in all of human history, every single one, including all the cars that are on the road, and you plugged in the world's grid, you might get like 20 minutes and then you run out of battery. So there isn't enough battery capacity yet to do all of that shifting. And so our approach is, let's make the demand match the supply to the best extent possible. And then what we can't shift, then you bring in the battery. So you need less battery. So one example of that is the water heater. So your water heater should not be heating water at 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. when everybody else is using energy. Let's heat the water before that, like maybe during the solar day. So all the energy that's going to heat your water is coming off residential rooftop solar. And at night, maybe the wind power that's coming from the North Shore is going to heat the water for people that need it at night. So if you can time the heating of the water to coincide with the available renewable, you've got a battery. And the way that we do that is we use advanced machine learning to make sure that we consume as much renewable energy when it's possible, but we don't turn off heaters so long that you would interrupt your access to hot water. So that's the magic that we do. So our entire company is really about finding those abilities to shift energy without it being perceptible to humans.
What stage are you at now with the company?
We're still early stage. So we have our seed round. We closed at the end of last year. So $4.5 million. Some pretty interesting investors came in this round. We have customers in 3 countries, growing quickly in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that's probably going to be the largest operating part of our company for a while. And we're in 8 US states as well. And so we think that this model is going to be valuable everywhere. So my vision, though, is that every utility on Earth is going to need us. Because at the end of the day, you want to shift first, because that's the cheapest form of energy storage, is shift first. And then what can't be shifted, you then use batteries to then provide.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.